Yo, what is up? demonjoefrance here. Welcome back once again to another video. How you guys doing? Guys, today we're going to be doing a very classic commentary kind of video. It's been a while since I've just done a commentary over some gameplay, so I'm kind of happy to be doing this video. This video is going to be a little bit of a Fortnite school video. A while back I came out with a video called The Problem with 130 Schematics in Fortnite Save the World, or 130 Weapons, or whatever I titled it. And things have changed ever since that video came out, and I kind of want to make a little bit of an update video and a Fortnite school video to educate you guys on my personal opinions on 130s and whether or not you should make 130s. One thing I do want to mention before we get into this, I'm going to be doing a wildcard type of video in less than a week, and I want your guys' opinion on which one it should be. So check out the Twitter poll. It'll be the first link in the description. You guys can directly decide what kind of video you guys want me to do. I'll be doing all of them at one point, but currently we have, setup video, question and answer, and responding to hate comments. Guys, go over there, pick which one you guys want to see first, and I will make sure to do it this weekend coming up, I believe. So yeah, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this, and let's kind of figure out whether or not you should make your schematics 130. Now, recently, ever since Frostnite has become a thing, ever since backwards crafting has become a thing, I figured I should make this video, update it, and kind of speak my mind on the newfound information regarding 130s and the whole new revelation of features that we have, and kind of still determine whether or not we should have them. So I kind of want to go over some pros and some cons and stuff. Recently I've been doing my weapon reviews as 130 weapons, and a lot of you guys, some of you were confused. I mentioned it in a few videos, but some of you were confused, like, why are you doing 130 weapon reviews now? And I figured that I would just kind of talk and determine whether or not you should do it, because recently I have done it. So let's just go ahead and jump into this. So first up, we're going to be going over why you should make your schematics 130, and then we'll go over why you shouldn't. My number one reason for why you should make your schematics 130 is because of in-game activities like Frostnite that appear. Now, this is the number one reason why I personally have been doing 130 weapon reviews. I was kind of against 130 weapon reviews at first, and then Frostnite became a thing, and it quickly taught me how much we need 130s in situations like that. You will get upwards of power level 200 husks in Frostnite, and having a 130 is a necessity. Having a 130 with max legendary perks is a must for activities like that, and that just kind of taught me firsthand. I was like, if a lot of people are going to be playing in-game activities like this, if this is something that we're going to be seeing in the future, maybe I should make my weapons 130 and kind of show people how they're going to react in the base game, and that can give them a good idea of how it's going to act whenever it comes to activities like Frostnite. And that's the number one driving feature for me personally, why my schematics are 130. But there's still other reasons, and there's still cons and stuff, so let's go ahead and move on from that. But number one reason is in-game activities like Frostnite, and I guess you could also count Challenge the Horde as well. Number two is the ability to backtrack and craft at a 106. This newfound ability is pretty game changing in terms of how you're really going to go about your weapons, because previously I was 100% opposed to 130. So I was like, you don't want to make it 130, you can't go back to 106, there's no reason that you need to do this. Now that you can go back to 106, even 82 and silver and whatnot, you can even go farther, there's really kind of little reason not to. It's a huge factor in determining whether or not you want a 130 schematic, is that you can actually backtrack, because if you found out you made a mistake, all you really lost was some XP and some materials and stuff. So that's another pro as to why you should. You can always go back anytime that you want. The next pro is that it makes the 4x missions for power level 100 easier. And, even though they don't make them much easier, you're fighting about power level 118 husks and a 4x 100, it still does make it easier. And that's kind of one of the cons as well, but we'll get into that later. Is just the sense that one of the only missions that you're really going to get a lot out of it is maybe a 4x like power level 90 something mission, and then a 4x level 100. That's about it, but it will make those missions a lot easier than if you're using a 106. Even though they're not a necessity, the fact that you can backtrack to 106 kind of justifies using 130s and a power level 100 4x. And the last pro that I have is that it provides insight into the best possible performance of the weapon. And this is kind of another thing for me personally, as somebody that does weapon reviews and wants to get good information out there, I want to make my weapons 130 now, because, well, with Frostnite and with Challenge the Horde and with more future upcoming in-game activities that are going to be around, it's very important to showcase the best possible performance of a weapon, which is why I go out of my way. I make it all legendary perks, and you know, I make it 130 now, because with these activities, a lot of in-game players need to know, is this weapon worth using? And so for me personally, it might not be a pro for any of you guys, but it is a pro for me to showcase the best possible performance for people that are looking to upgrade one schematic to 130, to people that are looking to make a weapon all legendary perks. It is on me to basically justify and basically tell you guys whether or not you should do that. So let's go ahead and get into the cons of making a 130 schematic. The number one thing I have is that 106 to 130 upgrade will cost about 150,000 schematic XP, 80 drops of rain, and a mixture of other materials. If you are, you know, somebody that just got to Twine Peaks, you might not want to do this. You know, you might not want to make yourself 130 in general unless you trade for your materials, because you won't have Sunbeam, you won't have any of the materials like that. But a problem for a lot of people is that, you know, a lot of people don't even have schematic XP to begin with. So spending nearly 200,000 just to go from 106 to 130, as well as 80 drops of rain, and as well the other stuff like that, might be a deal breaker for some people. And you know, if you're an end game, you know, if you're late twine and stuff, it's really not going to matter that much. I can understand that, because it really doesn't matter to me all that much. But for a newer player that trades for his materials and is able to make his schematics at 130 now, you know, that might be a deal breaker for him. You know, he might have the mats because he traded for them, but he might not have the XP and the stuff that he can't trade for. So that is one of the cons that I have written down. Another one of the cons is that it's really not that more useful than a 106 in the majority of activities in the game. You know, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be using a 106 or a 130 in a Twine Peaks mission. It's really not going to matter that much. Whenever you're in a power level 94 4 times or a power level 100 4 times, it's going to be quite noticeable. But other than that, using a 130 over a 106, in my opinion, just really isn't justified whatsoever outside of those 2 missions. And the 4 times 94 is kind of pushing it. You know, if you have a weapon and it is a higher power level than the husk, you're pretty much good to go. You know, you really don't need to go much higher than that. So I really wouldn't be able to justify it. So 9 times out of 10, you're really not going to be getting much more use out of a 130 than a 106 in the majority of activities. Another con that I have is that the crafting materials just aren't that plentiful. You know, I've had a lot of people tell me, you know, hey, you know, they are that plentiful. You know, I don't have a problem getting the materials for my guns, and I play 8 hours a day. Well, there you go. You just said why you have your materials. You play 8 hours a day. I'm a YouTuber. I don't even play Fortnite 8 hours a day. I play about 2 to 4 hours a day. Whenever I'm streaming, I play probably 6 to 8 hours a day. You know, and I stream every single week. So I play the game about 6 to 8 hours a day on days that I'm streaming. So that's about like once a week that I put in that kind of time. And so for most people, they're not going to be able to have all the Sunbeam and Efficient and whatever. Personally, I don't take part in trading discords. I'm not a fan of trading until an official trading menu becomes a thing. So I don't have the most Sunbeam in the world. I don't have the most Bright Core in the world and whatnot. And, you know, making an explosive weapon 130 really isn't as bad as making a normal weapon 130, because you know, most of the time you always have Bright Core to kind of expend. But yeah, for the majority of people that especially don't trade, these materials are not going to be common. You're gonna have to go out of your way, farm storm chests, do crystal encampments, do whatever you can, and you know, the top tier twine, that you're not really going to have the materials. If you're somebody that dabbles in the lower levels of twine to try to get some alerts done and stuff, you're not going to be passively earning stuff like Sunbeam and, you know, Bright Core. So in general, materials aren't that plentiful whenever it comes to making a 130. Another con that I have is that the majority of the player base isn't even in Twine Peaks, let alone late Twine Peaks, and late Twine Peaks is what justifies a 130 to begin with. I think that this is a huge thing because, you know, if you're not in late Twine Peaks, why would you make a 130? Like I said, people have the ability to make 130s due to trading and all that kind of stuff. They will have the materials, but they themselves won't even be in an activity that warrants having a 130 to begin with. So when the entirety of the player base isn't even near the late of Twine Peaks, there's really no reason to have them. You know what I mean? And for me, you know, as somebody that does a weapon, you know, review kind of video, you know, every week and whatnot, for me, you know, it's still sort of justified, because for those players that are, you know, lower level, when they do reach late twine peaks, then they can realize, like, you know, they can look at my video and, you know, saw that I gave this weapon a good review and say, okay, that's good. I know how it's going to perform whenever I get there, and whenever I get there, I can then use the weapon and, you know, do whatever I want based off of his review. So, you know, that's kind of justified, but for the majority of the player base, for those of you guys that are thinking about 130s, you're probably not even in late twine peaks yet. You need to be about power level 94 to run a 4x100. So I just can't justify, you know, you just can't justify having it if you're not even in late twine peaks. And the last con that I have is that with the format of the current game, the next tier of materials is to prepare you for the next zone, not the zone that you're currently in. So hear me out. Say you're a player in Plankerton, okay? In late Plankerton, you start earning materials that you find in Canny Valley, which means that, you know, you start finding stuff like malachite and all that kind of jazz. Just think about a Plankerton player that decides to stay at the end game of Plankerton, doesn't go to Canny Valley, and just collects all of these Canny Valley materials in late Plankerton, and then makes all of his stuff 82 and just uses malachite weapons in all of Plankerton. It doesn't really make sense, and it's slightly justified for Twine Peaks because we don't have another zone yet, but the purpose of giving us stuff like Sunbeam and Bright Core and Efficient is to prepare us for the next zone. 9 times out of 10, like I said, you're not really going to need 130s. There are cases where you are going to need them, but with the way that the game is currently formatted, the reason they even give us those materials to begin with is to prepare us for the next zone so that we don't have to farm all the time and, you know, try to get those next level of weapons, you know, as soon as we get there. You know, we'll be semi-prepared and ready to use the next generation of whatever level the weapons are. So, you know, that's kind of my list of my pros and cons. You know, I'm sure you could probably think of multiple more whenever it comes to pros and multiple more whenever it comes to cons, but, you know, this is the most important stuff, at least in my mind, whenever it comes to whether or not you should make a 130. So, at the end of the day, should you make a 130 schematic? Previously, before Frostnite and before the, you know, backwards crafting and whatnot, I would say 100% do not make your schematics 130. However, now that we've seen a glimpse of harder content and content that justifies the need of a 130, not to mention the fact that you can go back and craft at Shadow Shard, I honestly say it's just up to you. You know, me personally, I have moved on to 130s. I'm a YouTuber. That's kind of the reason. Also, I use it for Frostnite. But at the end of the day, you know, previously I would have said no. It's a no-go, 100%. Don't do 130 schematics. Now that in-game content has been shown to us, and now that we can backtrack to 106, it is honestly up to personal opinion. So take everything I said, make up your own mind. I'm not telling you what to do whatsoever. I'm just saying that it is up to you whether you find it justifiable to have a 130 schematic. Me personally, I find it justifiable in the fact that I'm a YouTuber and I need it for Frostnite. You, on the other hand, might have a completely different reason. So at the end of the day, it is up to personal preference, but I personally would justify 130s for the sake of my YouTube channel. But guys, that is pretty much it for me today. I might have a second video out. I am not entirely sure. I'm just going to get this one edited, go get something to eat, kind of chillax. You know, it's a New Year's Eve and whatnot. So, you know, next year, you know, in one day, it's going to be 2019. It's going to be pretty crazy. And I cannot wait for the future of this channel and for the future of Fortnite. So guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about this entire discussion. It's been a while since I've done some Fortnite school, so I figured that I would talk about 130 schematics as they are a hot topic since backwards crafting. But guys, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you participate in that poll on Twitter. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. And I'll see you guys next time.